On this video, I'm going to share why exactly I throw dinner parties at a multi-million-dollar home. What's up, guys? My name is Nico Rapklis, and on this video, I'm going to walk you through the two specific reasons based on the Woo+Do framework on why I throw dinner parties at this multi-million-dollar home and how it really benefits my life, my personal brand, my relationships, my internal energy, and as well as continuing to help me build out my business, my brand, and everything that I want to accomplish in this world. So let's dive into this. Before we jump in, I just want to kind of break down exactly how this even happened. So as you can see on this screen, I wanted to show you real quick. This is a good friend. His name is James. He has a brand called Top Dog Law. And what's interesting is that here's a picture of when we first met. He came to one of our events where we do live podcasts. And so this was the event that I actually launched my first offer off of this podcast event company. And at the time, I was struggling to pay rent. I had actually just gotten fired from my advertising job, and I was kind of freaking out, not knowing what I was going to do. But I was very passionate about this project that I was working on, the podcast, everything. And it was the project really was a tool to help you really reprogram your subconscious mind, get clear on your vision, remind yourself of that every single day. And so I was scared to launch it, but it was this powerful tool that actually gave me the confidence to launch it. And one of the things that I said inside of that tool, because it was a message from my future self, that I started attracting dream clients. Some of the most sought after people in the world were begging you to take their money. And what's interesting is that James, he was the first person that came up to me after we launched the offer. And he came up to me, he's like, hey, I want one of your tools. And basically it's called a Vision Espresso. That's the product that we have, and it's evolved quite a bit since that time, but that's one of the main things that we help our clients with. And so James, he was kind of in a weird space. In his words, his business felt a little stuck, relationships were a bit stagnant. And so we started working with him, built out his Vision Espresso. It was really cool. And then from there, he went from a low 7-figure brand to now mid 8 figures. Now he's on pace to hit 9 figures. He's in a great relationship. He's more confident, and we're still friends to this day. So the reason that I share that story is because James, like I mentioned just now, is that we are good friends to this day. And so when we met, he actually did live in my apartment complex. But since then, he has moved out and he got into this beautiful multi-million-dollar home. And what's cool is that we actually throw a men's circle every single month because he's got a pickleball court in his backyard. He's got the workout equipment. He's got cold plunge. He's got sauna. And he has the space, right? And then I'm very good at building relationships and building my brand, building my authentic personal brand, which just means building relationships at scale. And so I'm really great at bringing people together. So we started doing that, and we brought all these amazing men, these entrepreneurs, into this environment every single month. And in a matter of right around 6 months, we built that list to about 200 people. And then from there, we started realizing it was growing so much, and we kind of wanted to bring a little bit more intimacy and figure out some different ways on how we can make it a more secluded group and just a little bit more intimacy so we can have more refined conversations so that we can really help our lives, our businesses, our brands, and everything to elevate ourselves. So that's kind of the backstory on why, or how, I should say, how I even came to this point where we are throwing these dinner parties at a multi-million-dollar home. So the reason that I throw these dinner parties is because of the fact of the Woo+Do framework. And I talk a lot about this concept on this YouTube channel. So again, make sure and subscribe if you have not already. But the reason that I do this is, let's talk about it from the woo side as well as the do side. Okay, it's never either or, it's always both. Okay, so from a woo side, let's talk about energetics. Okay, one of the biggest things that you want to do in terms of elevating your frequency and elevating your energy is to get around the right types of people. Get around people that actually inspire you and motivate you and just bring this juice and this excitement to your life. Because when I start getting around people that are on a different frequency, that are having a higher level of success than me, you can feel it. And the more tapped in you are energetically, you will start to feel this even more. And so I'm very particular on the rooms that I curate. I want to bring people that are very tapped in spiritually, emotionally, mentally, but also having a lot of success in their lives and their businesses, making a lot of money, because that is a frequency in itself. Okay. And so as I meet people, I keep on, building these relationships. And one of the first things that I will always ask people throughout the conversation is I ask, what is one of your biggest challenges at the moment? Or a lot of times I also ask, what is your vision? Because what I want to figure out is what I like to call their GPS, which basically is a culmination of their vision, their values, their subconscious programming, where they're going, what's holding them back. I want to know all those things, because the fact that I'm so aligned with who I am, where I stand, what my values are, and where my vision is, I want to align with people like that, right? And I believe that that's the whole point of life, is just continuing to align with the people that you are the most connected with, the people that you are in harmony with, because again, that raises your frequency on an energetic level. And so every time I get around amazing people, I'm able to, raise my energy, raise my frequency. And the more that I get around those type of people, I raise my energy, and all of a sudden, even more people on that frequency start getting around me, right? That's how I've been able to connect with people like David Meltzer. He's the $100 million man. I noticed that when I met him, all of a sudden I started attracting even more people like that in. Right? And it just continues. I met somebody recently that has a prominent solar company in the state of Arizona. It's actually, from what he told me, is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in Arizona. He's got over 100 people on his team. And I met him at an event, and I knew right away that we had a very similar vision and values. Right? He even shared a little bit of his vision. I shared a little bit of my vision to him. And we obviously shared our vision, our vision, of course, but our values as well. How we value relationships, how we value growth, how we value authenticity. And so I knew right away, is like, damn, I want to start building a relationship with this guy. And so I was like, all right, I'd love for you to come to the men's circle, but I'd also love for you to come to one of our dinners. And so it was actually just this past weekend that we did another dinner. It was about 12 people, so it was a little bit more intimate. And it was all just amazing people that were just on a higher frequency. And then on top of that, something else that I do with these dinner parties is like, yes, we have this multi-million-dollar home that James supplies, is amazing. I also, as we started putting together these men's circles and we started documenting it, we started creating content, which again, do all these things. If this aligns with you, this is how I've done it, is I'm always creating content around it, because that helps me build my personal brand so that I can build relationships at scale. Right? So when I'm consistently creating content, people are watching that content. They're able to build a relationship with me. The more time they spend with me, the more the content that they consume of me, they're building a relationship with me. And then when I have more of a relationship with someone, I can ask them if they would like to partake in any of the in-person stuff that we do. And so what happened there is a guy, his name's Ty. He is the founder of Mad Fresh Kitchen, which is a meal prep and a catering company. He reached out and he said, hey, it looks like you guys would need some post-workout meals at the men's circle. I'd love to bring some. I was like, all right, cool. So the fact that I just started putting all this together, started documenting, started putting it out there, this guy reached out to me and said, hey, I'd love to supply and support. And so then from there, we're like, oh, well, we'd love to have you come and, provide dinner for us if that's something that you're interested in. And he's like, absolutely. So I'm just value arbitraging all these things to put together an amazing experience where I just curated everything. I curated the people, I curated the meal, I curated the home, I curated it all because it adds to my energy, right? But here's the kicker, is because now that I'm getting around these type of people, now that actually helps me build my authentic brand. And every time I am creating content around this. Because why do I want to create content around this? Because again, it comes back to building relationships at scale. And one of the most profitable things that you can possibly do is build your authentic personal brand. Billionaires like Ben Francis, 32 years old. He is the CEO of Gymshark. He has diligently and profoundly shared that personal brand, and just like brand as a whole is where all the money is made. Alex Hormozy, $100 million Alex Hormozy, a lot of people know him, but he talks about brand is actually the thing that allows you to increase conversions, get even more referrals, your customers stick around for longer periods of time, and you can charge higher prices. All four of those things, but most people won't actually do it because they can't see a direct ROI like off an ad where it's like, hey, I put in $1 and then right away I make $3 back, right? It's more the thing that's a long term, it's a longevity play. But here's the thing is that like if you have the vision that you are building something for the long term, it's going to pay you a higher return in the end. I think about everything in life, especially a personal brand, as an investment. I look at things as I'm an investor, right? And when I continually think about it like that, that's when things really start shifting. And then the brand is really going to pay dividends. So why I'm building all these authentic relationships and I'm building this community is because not only does it feed my energy, but it's an asset that's actually going to help me make a lot more money in the end, right? Most people are playing the game of like, how do I make the most money in the very right now? And I draw this metaphor as well. It's kind of like you're at a campfire and the fire is dwindling. And what most people will do is they'll just do whatever they can to make a quick buck right away. And metaphorically, they'll go grab sticks, branches, and they'll just throw it on the fire. As opposed to if you're building your brand and you have the long-term vision, that's like going and chopping wood. And you're chopping wood. It takes you a while, but eventually you have a whole stack of wood. You can bring it back to the fire, and then you just have a fire for a really long time, as opposed to going and getting more sticks and branches all the time. That's an exhaustive model and doesn't return as high as if you went and chopped all the wood. So I look at building an authentic personal brand as chopping the wood. So right now I'm very much in a chopping wood stage. I'm constantly building relationships that are feeding my energy. I'm curating rooms, whether it's the men's circle, whether it's our podcast events, whether it's these dinners. We've even done some boat days with these guys that have millions of followers, and they offered that because of the fact that they saw what we were doing. So all of this is like everything is just building. And I got invited to this private event of these guys that have 1.3 million followers, one of the biggest accounts in Arizona. And so all this is stemming off building my brand, and it comes from an authentic place because I know my vision, I know my values, I know who I am, and it's imperative that you find those things out because then you know who you want to align with, and then you'll know where you want to get plugged in. And because of the fact that I got invited to this event with these guys that have millions of followers, I got connected with another guy that invited me to this winner's circle event to interview all of the grant recipients, and I'm starting to build that relationship, which they are one of the biggest companies in Arizona, and they reached out to me and wanted to build a relationship with me, i.e., again, everything is stemming off of my personal brand. So if you know who you are, and then you can continue to communicate who you are, and you can make content, and you can continue to build relationships over and over and over again, and you use content to build it at scale, it's a model that's just going to continue to pay dividends over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? And that, in fact, is why I throw these dinner parties at this multi-million-dollar home. And again, I just want to reemphasize the point. I started all this when I was broke. I was struggling to pay rent. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to pay rent. But because I had the vision, because I knew my values, I knew who I was, and I started communicating that, I started putting myself out there, I started creating content, I started building relationships, things shifted drastically. And I think about this too, is that like that was a challenging time when I was like struggling to pay rent. Little did I know I'd meet this guy that was a prominent business owner and would drastically change my life. Think about what's going to happen now, and think about it from your perspective. What are you going through right now that's going to shift things if you just keep pushing forward? You keep on building your brand. You keep on building authentic relationships. You keep on figuring out who you are, your values, your vision. You remind yourself of that vision. You keep on updating that vision. You communicate that. You create content. You build relationships. It's just a circle, and it's swarming and swarming and swarming, and knowing that you're chopping the wood. So that's what I wanted to share on this video. I trust that gave you a lot of value and you took some golden nuggets that you can take and actually go out and apply it to your life. But again, operate from the woo and do. It's important to get around and build relationships of people that inspire you and add energy to you, but then also you're building a really profitable asset, because community is one of the biggest things moving forward. One of the things that we were talking about at this last dinner party is, what is the emerging trends? What is the things that are going to continue to keep people thriving? And what are the things that are going to just die away in the next 5-10 years? And one of the biggest things that stuck out to me is brand and community. If you're building strong relationships and you're meeting people in person, you're doing a lot of in-person stuff, and you're building strong relationships, and you have a strong community, people want to be a part of that. People will pay for that. Right? It's a very profitable asset, and it's going to continue, because with the emergence of AI, people are less trusting more than ever. And that's what I'll always say about an authentic personal brand, is you must build an authentic personal brand, because people are having a hard time knowing who to trust. But if you can be that authority, you can be that person that is genuine, that is authentic, and just simply communicates their life on social media, and they do a lot of in-person stuff as well, it's going to pay huge dividends. So that's my bit on why we throw these dinner parties, why I'm building my authentic personal brand, why we're helping a lot of people do the same thing. You can obviously join our Skool community. It's called Authentic Influence. The link is down in the description. And then we also have a brand new video training that I put together that walks you through basically kind of a 3-step process on how to truly build your authentic brand, why you want to build your authentic brand, and how you can really start implementing this on a massive scale. Okay, my name is Nico Rapcless. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.